I was born in El Salvador and raised on a farm with my brothers and sisters. I went to school in my town until ninth grade. Then I traveled to a bigger town for high school. And that is when the trouble began. One day, two classmates invited me to join their gang, MS-13. This gang is known all over the world for killing, kidnapping, and drug dealing. I told them I would think about it, but I never thought about saying yes. I knew I didn't want to be a criminal. 2 weeks later, the gang leader stopped me after school and took me to an empty street and asked me, "So, are you going to join us or not? Because if not, I am going to kill you." And then he put a gun against my head. But I thought he was going to shoot me. But there was another person with us. He was worried someone might see us, so they let me go. That night, I told my parents what happened. At first, my mother was angry. One of my cousins was involved with gangs, and he got killed. After that, my mother told me not to hang out with gangs. Why didn't I listen? But I knew my mom wasn't really angry at me. She was angry about how dangerous our country has become. My father was also angry, but he didn't say much. He was already making a plan. My parents knew I had to leave the country. It was that simple. And I couldn't go to Honduras, Guatemala, or Mexico because they have gangs too. The only place I would be safe was the United States. I already had family living in New York, so I could stay with them. My parents thought my little brother should come with me because no teenager is safe in our country. A few days before we left, I went shopping with my mom. She kept asking me, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Mom, I am fine." But I wasn't really fine. I was scared, and I was so sad to leave her.
Sí puedes. Sí puedes. Sí puedes.
My mother and father had given me the best gift, a loving family. I wanted to honor that gift, so right before I left, I made a promise to my mother. Mamá, prometo proteger la vida de mi hermano como si fuera mi propia vida. Mama, I promise to protect my brother's life like it was my own. The next afternoon, my brother and I began a 3-month trip to Texas. We traveled by car, bus, train, and foot. And we spent weeks waiting in terrible houses. Finally, we got to the Rio Grande. It was January. It was very cold. We crossed the river at night in a tiny plastic boat. I was scared, but when we made it to Texas, I felt so happy. I wanted to hug my brother, but there was no time. We had to run. A few days later, it started raining. We were walking through muddy fields, so our shoes got stuck. I was able to keep going, but my brother has a bad knee, so he fell behind. The group could not slow down because they might get caught. And I couldn't leave my brother because I made a promise to my parents and because he's my brother. So the group went ahead. It was dark by then. My brother and I walked slowly, following the light of the moon. We were in the middle of nowhere, and we were completely alone, except for the wild animals that were following us. Then, in the middle of the night, we were arrested by the immigration patrol. My brother was still a kid, so he was sent to a juvenile detention center. And I was only 18, but that meant I was sent to the adult center. Now, we were both alone. After 2 months in Texas, they put me on a plane to New Jersey. It was my first time flying, and I was so excited. I just wish I was not wearing handcuffs. When I got to New Jersey, my family had to come up with more money to pay my bond. But then I was released. I went to the Bronx and finally saw my little brother, who already got out of the detention. 7 months after leaving our village, we made it. We were finally living with our family in New York City, but I didn't feel completely happy because I felt alone. I didn't have any friends. I didn't speak English. And I didn't feel comfortable talking about what I have gone through. So what could I do next? A few weeks later, my brother's lawyer told us about an organization called Terra Firma. She said they provide free healthcare for kids like me, so I went down to their offices. The first person I met was Dr. Alan Shapiro. I liked him right away. He's a really great doctor. He's fluent in Spanish, and he really cares about every patient. So when Dr. Shapiro invited me to join their peer counseling, I said yes. And that is one of the best decisions I ever made. The group leader was Dr. Cristina Muñoz de la Peña, and I like her just as much as Dr. Shapiro. We were 9 other young people in our group. We were all from different parts of the world. but we all left our countries to escape violence. We all went through hell getting to New York. Hearing their stories helped me realize I was not alone, and telling my story gave me power. It made me feel like a hero, not a victim. Finally, Terra Firma also helped me enroll at Emma Lazarus High School, where all students are learning English. It is the perfect school for me. Last June, I became a member of the National Honor Society. Thank you. Thank you. I will graduate this January, and I plan to go to college and become a history teacher. Terra Firma is also where I met Brett, my amazing lawyer. With Brett's help, I have applied for asylum and work authorization because my home is here now in New York. I know my parents still worry about us. I want them to know the promise I made to them still stands. I will always protect my younger brother. I also want them to know this. With help from Terra Firma and Robin Hood, we are not alone anymore. Thank you.